Well, it's another year and 2025 has come and gone, but I like to end every year with a toy collection room tour because a lot changes over the years, our tastes change, and for me, I guess it's just now more of a tradition, but it's fun for me because now I get to look back and see how much has changed. So if I go back and watch my 2022 video, I said, oh, I'm not collecting Gijoe Classified, I'm not collecting Mcfarlane. A lot's changed. Anyways, if you have been following me for a while, thank you. If you are new to the channel, welcome. But this year was kind of different. My channel was built off of building dioramas, but I kind of took a break this year just because I was getting married and really didn't have a lot of time. But also, I work from home a lot, and I work in this room. So just by the end of the day, I don't even want to be in this room sometimes. So every now and then I have to take a step back and really enjoy my collection. So sometimes it does get difficult, but yeah, I just kind of like to do this walk around as a recap. And with that, I try to make my display kind of tell a story. And with the new pickups of the year, it changes, it evolves, and that's the fun part about collecting. So I'm going to take you through a tour of this room. It's a 10 by 10 room, so how long could it take? But I actually fit a lot of stuff in here, which is wild. So yeah, hope you stick around, and let's start taking a look at what I got this year. So enjoy. All right, so here is my 10 by 10 room that somehow I managed to fit all this stuff in. And we're going to go one by one at each display and check it out. Normally, I've ended my room tours with my TMNT display. I think this year I'm going to start with that. So let's go ahead and start looking at all of the TMNT collection. So we're going to break down my TMNT collection, and it's mostly comprised of NECA, Toon, and NECA movie stuff. So not a lot of releases this year. I mean, for movies, there was almost nothing. A few hidden gems, so we'll get to that. But let's start off looking at our Toon display and work our way towards the movie stuff. Okay, let's start with the main event of the Toon display. We'll start there first. And just starting all the way at the top, I have this great artwork. I think it's from like a 30th anniversary comic book, but just a really cool kind of battle between the villains and the good guys. I forget the artist's name. I know I have it somewhere, and he does fantastic work. But we'll just start with the NECA Toon scene, or the street scene. I kind of have all the superhero figures up at top. Not much has changed there. I just like the idea of them being up fighting crime, up on the roof. It's really cool. I have these cool lights. I forgot who made them. I really need to remember who they are, but there was someone in the TMNT party wagon doing custom lights for the street scene, and I thought they were cool. They had a lot of depth to the display. And now here I have all the street gangsters. I like them in their non-mutated form, just because there's already so many mutants on the shelf. I have the Fifth Turtle Zack with Casey, and then you have Bebop and Rocksteady in their human form, and Scrag, who, if you didn't get him the first time during the Kickstarter, you are able to get him again. You just have to buy 2 other figures, which at least you are getting the opportunity to get him again. Moving down, have some more mutant characters and human characters. So Wingnut and Screwloose. I have the frogs, and have the Crooked Ninja Turtle gang, and the Punk Turtles made their way to this scene. I had them in a different spot last year, but I like them here. I like them at the center of the street scene with all the punks. I think they kind of fit in right there. There's Slash, I believe his name is. Then Rex and Evil Rex kind of standing off. And yeah, there really hasn't been much to add to this display. Not too many new characters. We did get a few, but I dispersed them in other different places. So right below that, I made all these dioramas, so my sewer layer, then just like a normal sewer, Technodrome, and Dimension X. So we'll work our way down. I did not want to buy the NECA sewer layer just because the price, of course, but also I have this pipe shelf. I would have had to have gotten rid of this, bought a new display. So it wouldn't have just been the price of the layer. It would have been the price of shelving and rearranging this whole display. I already built all my dios, so I didn't really need it. And you know, there's even if I got more than one of the dios, there's nowhere for it to go. That's it. I'm tapped out. So anyway, the way I made my sewer dio is that the first part is part living room, part kitchen, dining room, and kind of have like a little story going on here. So Creepy Eddie's in the back. At least that's one new character. Mikey's playing video games. Metalhead's vacuuming. Raph is with, what's her name? Totally forgot. And then you have the turtles being interrupted by some pizza monsters. So got them there. And then got Shibanu Sanu. He's in the back there, haunting Splinter. And normally, I don't like to put two of the same character on the same shelf. But the way I have it displayed, it's kind of like maybe he's reflecting on his human form. So he's not actually there. I don't know, just my imagination. So yeah, this was the first diorama that I ever built. And it's not good. I'll just say there's a lot of things wrong with it. But I don't have the heart to get rid of it and make a new one for myself. I've actually made plenty of sewers since then for other people, and they've come out 100 times better than this one. But I don't know, if it's your first project, you kind of feel bad about throwing it away. So it does have some sentimental value. For all the other bigger sewer dwelling characters, I put them all down here. So we have the PandaCon new release this year. Really excited with this. I like posing him with the Samurai Mikey and Usagi. There is some Super 7 on here. I don't really like them. I might even pack them up and sell them. But really all I wanted was Scratch, because I don't think NECA will ever make them, but maybe they will since they're doing more Playmates inspired characters. So that's really cool. Pizza Monster in the back. Then Scumbug, Mutagen Man, Mondo Gecko, Leatherhead, and then Giant Frog or Colossal Frog, and then Rat King. And then, yeah, this is just a cool display that I made. I wanted like a generic sewer. Kind of wanted the water to be all oozy. That's just hot glue. And then if you haven't noticed, this on my display is a safety net because of how fragile NECA figures are. I always want to make sure that they're protected. So yeah, if you don't have a safety net on your NECA display, then you are living dangerously. But just a cool, fun, generic display. Anyone can make it, but definitely a cool addition. Then below it, you see I kind of have a theme here. Each level, we're getting lower and lower into the earth. So this scene right here is Bebop and Rocksteady and Krang. I don't really know why Krang is outside of the Technodrome, but that's supposed to be like an outside panel of the Technodrome. And mostly because I don't want to have two of the same on the same shelf where it doesn't really make sense. And then in here, we have the Technodrome. This was my second Dio, and this is another one. I would like to go back and redo it because admittedly, it's not what I think I could do now. Again, I don't have the heart, and I'm the only one that comes in this room, so it's not like anyone's going to come in here and judge me, so that's cool. But you got the Krang Android, all the Mousers, Baxter Stockman, Lotus. I really think the newer Shredder is great, so that's the older one. Robotic Bebop and Rocksteady. And man, that guy is just awesome, and his name is escaping me right now. So Metalhead? That's not Metalhead. I forgot. Chrome Dome. He is fantastic. I actually picked everything up and was dusting it the other day, and when I was dusting him, I forgot that NECA could make such cool stuff, because it's been a long time since we got something new, except for PandaCon, definitely one of my favorites of the year. So we got the sewer layer, generic sewer, Technodrome, and then below, this is our Dimension X display. Triceratons, that's the older Slash. Then the Neutrinos, I put Space Donnie there. Didn't really know where else to put him. Dirtbag and Ground Chuck. Then Granitor and those guys. Got their names. Worm, I think that is where the NECA line needs to go. Start making these like Playmates inspired characters, Anthrax. And yeah, this is my Dimension X diorama, real simple, just rock work, and I did a cool design in the back. But I think they fit great here, so definitely another one of my favorite displays. Now, when I got these beach turtles, I had no idea what to do with them. I actually still have no idea what to do with them, but we made these little fairy houses for our wedding, and one of them was a tiki bar, which I thought would be perfect for not just the Toon Turtles for the beach version, but also Bebop and Rocksteady. So for now, they're going to live there. For the wedding, people could leave like little notes and put them on the inside. The turtles weren't at the wedding, just the tiki hut. So just a fun little display for these guys that really don't fit anywhere else on my display. So I'm keeping them on my work desk. I work from home most of the time, so they'll be right behind my computer as I'm working. Something I haven't really shown, but this is something really cool, and I just thought it'd be fun to actually bring it out. But I worked at Walt Disney World for a really long time, and I definitely wasn't around when the turtles were there, but coworkers were, and they knew how much I love turtles, and they actually had this from back in the day. It is a signed photograph from Michelangelo, Raphael, Donatello, and Leonardo. So there used to be a show at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and you used to be able to go see the turtles, and I never got to. So someone gifted me this. I should frame it. It's one of my prized turtle possessions. So just really cool before we move on to the bigger display. Moving on. So this is a pretty big display here. So the turtle van, Weird Pizza, and then the Channel 6 News building, which is the biggest diorama that I've ever built. So pretty crazy. I don't think I've built anything comparable since then, but I like to put the older April in the turtle van, and actually the first turtles that NECA released, they're on the inside. I think you can see, yeah, Donnie's in there, so you can kind of see him. And then Dirk Savage, I want to put him street side with Toka and Razar, since they were pretty heavily displayed in that episode. And I think Tattoo, another new one, he was at the beginning of that episode. There's a lot of characters in that episode, and it's just cool because we got a lot of toys of them. Weird Pizza, this was a fun display that I wanted to do. Actually, I did this whole display based on the box art from the Turtle Van. Toon Shredder, probably one of the worst figures of the year, if I'm being honest. And then just because we haven't been getting anything new with the Toon line, I was a little inspired to put something from the Archie comics here. So I have April, the fifth turtle, I guess, there. Weird Pizza diorama. This was a fun build. These are also kind of dumb. I kind of hide them back there. Bebop Bebop as the grandma and Rocksteady as the baby. I don't know if we need all these redos of Bebop and Rocksteady. I think we have like 5 or 6 now. That gerbil, I think that's what Tattoo is before he turns into the big sumo guy. And then let's show off this Channel 6 News Dio from kind of top to bottom. But we'll do the exterior first. I like to heat these out. Christmas just ended, so I'll be putting them away soon. But does anyone still have these snow globes? I mean, these are over 30 years old, and they've only lost half their water. So I think I'm doing a pretty good job keeping them safe. I try not to keep them in the garage or the attic because I don't want that water to get messed up. So hopefully they last me another 30 years, and by then I'll figure out how to replace water in snow globes, if that's still a thing. But going up this building, it's pretty massive. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 4 interior scenes on the inside. I'll take the panels off and show you in a second. And then the front facade, which is my favorite. I mean, just the way the letters came out, the numbers. I had a friend, Armando. He kind of gave me what he did for his, so I kind of got that same paint scheme with the blue on the windows. I wanted to look reflective. So I was really happy when this all came together. I think I did like 6 videos showing the process of how I made it. So definitely, I don't know if I can ever top this diorama-wise, but was one of the funnest things to make, and I loved it. So before I pull off the panels of the interior, I guess this is the 5th story, and I kind of have like a a rooftop battle scene going. So that's the new shredder, much needed upgrade. I didn't think we needed an upgrade on Slash, but we got him. So whatever. He is cool, but I put him up there. Baxter Stockman, all the foot soldiers. And then these are our Pizza Club turtles. Probably also didn't need extra of them, but I did purchase them. So got all 4 of them there. April, the news crew from Channel 6, Casey in his suit, and Ace Duck is helping out. One of my favorites, even though he never actually, he was just a show that they watched, so he never got to fight crime with them. So just a cool rooftop scene. And even though I made all these internal scenes, I never display them actually because I like the way it looks all closed up. So that's pretty much the way it is most of the time. But I'll take all these panels off and show you what each interior side looks like. Okay, so the way I made it is that you can take all these side-facing panels off, and then it reveals different scenes inside the Channel 6 news building. So we'll start from bottom to top here. And this is the lobby. I actually did this based on artwork from Shredder's Revenge, the video game. And then there was some reference photo from the show, but not much. But I just like the Channel 6 logo there. Really cool. The elevators, those are actually a container that I split in half, and then I used the cap to make the fountain. So pretty cool. And then the second floor is some administration offices. So that's where Irma will normally be. And then this is where Burns in his office will be. And I took some liberties with the little screens that he has there, different cities. I put Orlando on there because that's where I live. So I thought that was pretty cool. Moving on to the third floor. This is a studio room where Slash turns Burns and Vernon into turtles with the turtleize array. I just like this cool 90s design here, so I wanted to incorporate that detail. I just printed off pictures from the cartoon of the cityscape, and I used that to make it look like you're looking out the window. And then over here, you have April's dressing room, where she's transforming into the Catwoman from Channel 6. So definitely a cool scene that I wanted to incorporate. And, you know, really the big part of it is there's so many cool accessories that come with these figures. This gives me a chance to kind of use them all. I like the cat on the windowsill back there. So really cool. And then moving up, I built the Channel 6 News studio room. So I have an extra Vernon. Him and the Catwoman, they pretty much live in here, closed off all year. But this is really cool for photos. I mean, if you want to do your own Channel 6 and can make it bigger, you know, I had to kind of condense it into the space that I had, but now I get to use all these cool accessories, which I hate keeping the accessories in the box, so I try to use them all if I can help it. And it's just really cool when you do have them all in there with April sitting behind the desk. I used Silly Winks for this. This is like soft foam, so that came out pretty neat, I think. And then once I put the panels back on, you just magnetize them all in, so you can see the magnets there. One detail I really love on here, other than all the little Channel 6 logos, I got those monitors in the back there. One has the Triceratops, one has Android Krang, and then I actually did put little outlets here, and these could fit in. They're kind of a pain, but they do plug in. I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to knock anything over, but yeah, full interior, full exterior, my Channel 6 News diorama. This thing was a beast to make, but I was really happy with the end results. If you do want to see how I did it, there's a whole series on my channel from construction, and then I think the first video is building the building, and then each video after that is designing one floor at a time, and then the last and final video was painting the exterior. So it was kind of a fun process to share, and it was just cool. And I think since then, a lot of people have built their own Channel 6, so I was kind of, you know, I like when someone reaches out and said, hey, I built my Channel 6 watching your videos. I think that's really cool. So this is it for my Toon display. We're going to move on to our movie turtles. Okay, there's not many turtle shelves here, so it shouldn't take that long. And I really wanted to do this based on TMNT 1, 2, 3, and then some kind of miscellaneous. So we don't have many figures from the third movie, which is actually I'm okay with. I don't want any more. So, but then there's too many figures for TMNT Secret of the Ooze, so I have those 2 shelves just for them. But we'll start with the first movie, and every shelf I try to have some kind of a flow going with different scenes. So in the back, you see the Shadow Warriors, Urukusaki, and Splinter before his master was killed, and then Casey and April from the farm scene. I just put Danny there. Another Casey fighting Raph in the back. Some various foot soldiers. Tatsu, who we got last year, which was awesome. The 4 brothers fighting Shredder. This one's awesome. Kevin Eastman as the garbage man. He's in the movie if you blink and you miss it. And probably the only big, well, one of 2 movie pickups this year that I got was the Spirit of Splinter, which is awesome because I missed out on this. This was a Kickstarter, and I had it in my cart, and I forgot why, but I just decided not to buy it. And then this guy shot up to like $400 on eBay. So I'm really glad that they re-released him, gave some of us a chance to grab him. So pretty stoked for that. Moving down, we have our first Secret of the Ooze shelf, and it's pretty much just a bunch of foot soldiers. Kino with his boxing gloves, trained to be a foot soldier. The professor, and then we have a variation of Shredder in his purple suit on the trash throne. So I think this is only the second movie item to come out this year, and it's weird. I think it was based off of some, concept art that never made it to the actual movie. So it's cool. It's not exactly, it takes up a lot of space. I don't know why I bought it, but it's here, so I'm going to use it. I ended up clearing off another shelf. I think I took away my Universal Monster Turtles. I'm probably only going to break those guys out during Halloween. But now Secret of the Ooze has 2 shelves. So here is their second shelf. And Toko and Razar, probably some of the best figures in this entire room, honestly. They are some of my favorites. Another Professor. Then we got Super Shredder. And I didn't want to put any of the weapons in the Turtles' hands because TMNT Secret of the Ooze is more of a... They tried to make it more kid-friendly, so I tried to make this shelf more jovial, and I wanted to put a lot of their smiling faces on there. There's the original Splinter from the first movie, but he kind of fits in because they didn't change him in the second movie. And then Kino on his little his moped, so that's pretty neat. And then Tokon Razar as the babies and the box of donuts. When it comes to the movie stuff, at least from the first movie, there's only a few characters that I would really want to call this complete. I want the pizza guy who delivers the Dominoes, and I'd love Sam Rockwell's character, the guy that asks the other guy at the foot facility if he wants some cigarettes. After those 2 figures, I think from the first movie I'd be done. And we need April O'Neil, Turco. I forgot her first name, Paige Turco. We need an April for Secret of the Ooze and for the third movie. So we'll move down to the next shelf, which is really just the Samurai Turtles. And since it's just these 4, I kind of put them on a miscellaneous shelf. I did buy the first round, or version 1 of the Turtles of Grayskull. Thought those were cool. I did buy the Sketch Turtles from NECA. They're kind of hidden. And that was my first Transformer, the Party Wagon. I forgot what they call it. I'm not a Transformer guy, so putting transforming and untransforming made me feel like an idiot. So he's gonna live like that because for me, it's like a foreign language or a Rubik's Cube, because I'm not good at doing that. But the last and final TMNT shelf goes to the Rock and Roll Turtles, or I refer to them as the Radio City Turtles because I remember they played when I was a kid. I didn't get to go see them, but I do remember them playing. The Musical Mutagen Tour Turtles, I think is their official name. So that backdrop is from Extreme Sets. Just kind of cut it up to fit the detail. And yeah, I might switch these guys out. I think 4 shelves is enough. I actually just want to get rid of these details altogether. But that can definitely... I need to spread out some Marvel Legends. So unfortunately, these guys might not make the cut. And I hope they don't make any more figures from the third movie. If they do, that might be where I break away and not be so much of a completionist. But these guys are cool. I've kept them out for long enough, so got to make room for new stuff. So I mentioned I work from home, so this is actually where I work all day. This is my desk, and just a fun few things on here. My wife got me a new microphone because we do the podcast every Tuesday, me and Victor of the Gen Experience. So if you haven't caught us on a Tuesday, it's really fun. So far, it's been a kind of slow growth, but I don't care. I'm just having fun talking about the things that I want to talk about. I got that Batman Signal popcorn bucket. It was on the Mcfarlane display, but I had to take it down to make room for something. Got Captain Planet there. My job is heavily focused on environmentalism, so Captain Planet was always kind of a important part of childhood, I guess you can say. But yeah, then just a fun few other things that we'll show along the tour. This one I probably won't revisit again, but no action figures of dogs, at least ones that represent my dogs. So I found these 3D printed versions on Etsy, and my mom painted them actually. So now I got my dogs on my shelf, which is really cool. Some fun artwork. Those are my two corgis, Wanda and Claude. So really exciting to have them as Marvel characters. And then just some cool artwork. Matt Cardona, big toy collector. I know nothing about wrestling. Rock and Roll Turtles, and whatever artist did this did a fantastic job. This is like the street art you'd find if you're walking on the streets of New York City. Another cool piece that my friend picked up. And then, yeah, I feel like you have a bunch of friends and they know you like turtles, so they're all picking you up artwork. This one's definitely really cool, and that one for sure. So definitely cool TMNT artwork. Then I have my first Mondo figure and only Mondo figure. Of course, it's a corgi from Cowboy Bebop. I knew nothing about Cowboy Bebop, but it's a corgi, so I'm going to get it. If you have not been to Universal Epic Universe, this is a power band. When you go into the Super Mario land, it's pretty awesome. And then just the last of the artwork, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, kind of a collage of Tommy Oliver, Green and White Ranger, this Wolverine comic. This is the first comic I ever purchased, and I just happened to find the cover, framed it. Some artwork done, I think, by my aunt. And then just a cool poster of Batman by a local Tampa artist, Tommy Castillo. So just kind of cool to support local artists there. With that, let's get to some action figures. Okay, I'm going to kind of start with my least favorite shelves first. The What If series, when these figures were coming out, I just kind of went hot and heavy with them. And then, honestly, I haven't watched past the first season. So I've kind of fallen out of love with this subline. If I do keep any of them, I'm definitely going to keep the zombies, but I think the rest could go. So that might be some new shelf space for next year. But it was a cool show at the time. I could have gotten better. I don't know. I just haven't watched it. The Disney Plus stuff has not gotten that much better. I like the first bunch of shows that came out. I did fall in love with. I think the last season of Loki was awesome. Daredevil Born Again was great. But yeah, there's just too much coming out. Luckily, this was a slow year for MCU stuff, and the MCU stuff that did come out, I was barely interested in. I think the only new figures on this shelf are Punisher and Daredevil. This Punisher's not that good, but it is a better version than the original Netflix one. So at least they did better on the head sculpt. But yeah, I'm just not so attached to kind of post Endgame, so I'm going to go through those shelves first. I also did get the Tracksuit Mafia, I think at the beginning of 2025, so I know they came out in 24, but I didn't get my hands on them until later. So definitely happy to have them, can mix them up in any display, but I like how I have things here. Things could be spaced out a little more. We have a Man-Thing. We still don't have a Werewolf by Night for the MCU, and that's kind of weird. But yeah, love the Hawkeye, Kate Bishop. Those are probably two of my favorites. I love that She-Hulk figure. I think she's awesome. But then some of the other figures, I kind of forget that they're here. But I kind of have Wanda in the back there. I like her, and Agatha. She was on a flight stand. I think the flight stand broke. And I like having that White Vision kind of fighting off against that other Vision. So pretty cool. Now I'm going to get through these shelves pretty quick. I call these my Ollie shelves because half the Shang-Chi figures are at Ollie's. I don't know if the Thor Love and Thunder figures went on sale, but I bought them and definitely regret it. But the other half of the shelf is awesome. It's the 20th Century Fox shelf. I think we did get Colossus last year, which was awesome. Kind of hard for me to get the camera down there. But then we have Into the Spider-Verse, another subline I didn't continue collecting for the most part. Wolverine, Deadpool. Very excited for that new wave coming out. So at least there will be some more MCU stuff coming shortly. And then I have my Netflix characters. The only one I'm missing is Connie. And I had to get a custom Iron Fist. But you can see that old Punisher. Look at that face. I thought that was a pretty good Punisher until you put him next to this one. And then you're kind of like, yeah, they definitely... That was before the photo reel, so it wasn't that great. I think that Daredevil still holds up. But you got Elektra there. Was there Dawson's character, Luke Cage. And then that Iron Fist is a custom head and hands that I just put on a suit body. And then Jessica Jones, who I think we'll be seeing shortly. So that'll be cool. And then the man himself, Stan Lee. He's sitting down there because, honestly, it's really hard to stand up. He keeps falling down. But that's okay. And this shelf is kind of a mixture of Spider-Man, Ant-Man, and Black Widow movie figures. So I don't know how many more Red Guardians we need, but I have those figures. Oh, God. But I do love having the unmasked versions of Peter Parker. Oh, this might have been a new MCU figure this year. Yeah, the black suit Spider-Man. That one's awesome. And that Vulture in the back, pain in the butt to stand, but kind of mixed in with the other villains. And then you can see that's the final scene, Spider-Man. I think they just re-released him, so if you missed out on him, you have another chance. That was a cool figure, the unmasked Matthew Murdock. That was a pretty cool one. He was on my Daredevil display, but I moved him over to the Spider-Man one. I think most of these figures are pretty cool. But again, the MCU is just... The figures are just coming out too much, even though this year was a slow year. I'm really tapped out, so I'm going to be really selective. I didn't buy anything from Brave New World. I didn't buy anything from... That was probably it. But let's go over the two last shelves of... I'll say the Ollie shelves. The Guardians of the Galaxy, even though they're not great figures, that's probably the last Marvel movie that I left thinking that was amazing. So I'm a lover of that movie, so I have all the Guardians 1, 2, and 3 characters here. Mostly Thor-related characters here as well. I mean, that Surtur is still one of the best figures. If you have him and you're not an MCU collector, he fits very well into your comics display. But they really filled out this roster over the last couple of years. I know they got a comic Scourge this year, Build-A-Figure, which was really cool. And I mean, this is 100% the Ollie shelf. I don't know anyone else that bought all the Eternals, but my dumb ass bought them all. And the Wakanda Forever figures. So whatever, they're here. They're going to live on the shelf, and that's it. So they're fine. I think they look cool when they're all positioned next to each other. So, you know, for that, at least they look good. There's good sculpting. It's just the movie was kind of a letdown. And then Wakanda Forever, I think I need to go back and watch it. It wasn't necessarily my favorite, but I bought those figures. And I think, I forgot what movie it was. It might have been Guardians. But after Guardians, I said I'm not buying full waves of movie figures ever again. And then, of course, the Deadpool figures got announced, and I purchased them. So, joke's on me. All right, now these are really my favorite MCU displays. So now we're getting to the good stuff. This is my whole Avengers display. And actually, I snuck the Thunderbolts in here. I like that movie. I don't think it's the best Marvel movie, but I actually got to go be an extra on it. So that was really exciting. And so I did want to buy those figures to represent, or to, in remembrance of being, you know, part of that experience. But I have the original core team all set up. That Hawkeye is still one of my favorite figures. That was before the photo reel. I think they did a good job of getting Jeremy Renner's likeness. Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Loki. I'm surprised that figure hasn't gotten redone again. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 3-pack. Really happy to have gotten that at a good price. So that's awesome. And then you got the 4 Thunderbolts characters in the back. They're not good figures. Red Guardian is shorter than most of them. He should be the tallest one. So that was kind of weird. I have 3 shelves dedicated to Infinity War and Endgame. And this is where I'd really love to get them out of these glass cases and spread them out, because they are getting kind of tight in here. So this is the Wakanda battle in Infinity War. Nothing new to add to this shelf, which kind of stinks. But I mean, what else could we get? I don't know. I think we've pretty much gotten everyone you need. Falcon up top, that Hulkbuster, still a great figure. That's the original Cull Obsidian, the Build-A-Figure, where I'm assuming they based the figure off of concept art, because he didn't look anything like that in the movie. The Outriders, that was released last year. Was super stoked to get them. Then we have bearded Captain America, then Thor, not going for the head for Thanos. I think at one point I had 4 Thanos figures, and I'm down to 3 now, so I guess we're doing good there. But it's a cool little battle scene. I think I got pretty much mostly everybody fighting who they fought in the movie. Black Widow and Okoye fighting... what's her name? I forgot. Anyway, they kill her. So that's the first Infinity War shelf. And this is... I kind of stuffed some things in here that don't belong, but it's okay. This is the second Infinity War shelf. It's kind of some Captain Marvel, and then obviously Fantastic Four in the back. So we'll go over the Infinity War scene. This is the scene where they're just about to get the gauntlet off of Thanos before Star-Lord messes it up. I like having Mantis up on his shoulders. Everyone's kind of holding his arms back. And then you have Loki with the Tesseract. And yeah, I like having it in that scene. I've had it in that scene for quite some time now. And we'll start with the Captain Marvel figures. I know Monica Rambeau wasn't in that movie. I really just wanted her because she was a new character. I didn't buy anything else from the second movie because that was definitely a movie I'm going to try to forget. I have Yanrog. I do want to know if anyone has the figure from that kids Star Wars show, if the head of the actor actually fits the Yanrog. What's his name? I'm not doing good with names today, but I'm just curious if anyone's tried to put that head onto that body, because Jude Law. So if anyone's put the Jude Law head on Yanrog, let me know. And the back, you have the Fantastic Four figures. You know, they're okay figures. Johnny Storm, his likeness is not that great, but I guess we'll forgive it. Silver Surfer, you know, basic figure, but I think she looks good. She came with a cool stand for her surfboard, and then a Human Torch. You know, the Fantastic Four are not fun to collect, financially at least, because you know it's not the Fantastic Four. It's going to be more like the Fantastic Six, because at some point they're going to release the Invisible Woman just in all translucent plastic. So when it's all said and done, you have 2 versions of Invisible Woman, you have 2 versions of the Human Torch, so it ends up becoming the Fantastic Six and a strain on your wallet. But I just wanted the first family. I did buy that popcorn bucket that looks like the Fantastic car, so that was pretty cool. So I just kind of stuffed them on this shelf because that's the only place I had room. And here is the Endgame shelf, and it's real busy. It's real busy. There's a lot going on here. But there's some good gems here. They redid the Black Order, so Cull Obsidian in his movie accurate outfit, and Proxima Midnight. That's her name in the back there. Got some more Outriders. I forgot I bought 2 sets of those, so that's why I have some on my Infinity War shelf, some on my Endgame shelf. Then Thor with both his weapons. Tony before he snaps. Then we have Worthy Cap. I remember when this figure came out, everyone was going crazy over it. It was just a normal Cap figure. They just happened to put a hammer in it. When in reality, you could have just taken a hammer from any Thor figure and put it in his hands. So I was one of those people that went crazy looking for it, and I happened to be in this like random like rural isolate town, and there was tons of them. I almost bought a bunch to just like sell on eBay, but I was going camping. I only had room for one, so you know, I didn't screw over any collectors. That's good. But yeah, the only thing I would really want, even though I don't have room, is maybe just some more of Thanos' army characters, just some generic soldiers. But for now, the shelf is pretty packed, so I'm going to call it a day and say this is as good as this Endgame shelf is going to get. And we'll end the MCU part of the collection with 2 dioramas that they just make me so happy. So Multiverse of Madness. I made this before the movie came out. I made it based off of the movie trailer, so I knew nothing about this movie. I was just excited for it. You got to remember, like after COVID, like when we were starting to get back to the movies, it was still exciting, and then a lot of these movies started letting us down, to be honest. But anyway, I remember looking at the trailer. It gave me a diorama idea, so I got to work and I started building this. So this is a scene from the movie that it's kind of a blink and you miss it. I wanted to kind of capture that. He doesn't really belong there, but we don't have Rachel McAdams' character, but just a cool kind of vortex. It's the doorway is coming out of this like portal area. Then it was fun. It was fun to make. But again, that movie came out and sucked. So not cool. However, my No Way Home display is finally complete. So super excited about this one. I think Electro came out this year because he was on my favorite, he was on my favorite Marvel Legends list. So this is my end battle scene. Really happy with how this came out. That Statue of Liberty is an old X-Men playset, and I just repainted it bronze, and it was actually missing some of the spikes. I had to recreate those, and then I made some scaffolding out of like silly straw and foam. But we have all the villains from that movie, which is great. We usually get gypped on villains from the MCU, and then we have some human characters, Triple J, MJ, Ned, and then you have all three Spider-Man, which is pretty cool. And I was really hoping to get Vulture in the scene, but there's just nowhere to put him. But I thought it'd be cool to put Movie Venom, Carnage, and Mysterio, just to kind of have all the villains on there. But really happy we at least got all the ones from the movie. And I don't know if you can see, but there's a rock, and it's right behind Green Goblin. That's actual rubble from the set. A friend of ours, he worked on the movie, and he got that for me. And there's actually a plaque there. It says Aunt May's wedding scene. And actually, everyone filming that day didn't know what was going to happen to Aunt May. So they had to trick everybody. And everyone just knew they were heading to Aunt May's wedding scene. So I thought that was pretty cool. If you've seen the movie, I won't spoil it. It's been a few years now. But really neat to have that. And then I just love kind of what I did with this dio. So I kind of made the portal cracking. I think these are like shrinky dinks. So I did that. And yeah, that was just a really fun thing and a great dio to make. So one of my favorites. I keep any of my cosmic Marvel Legends up here. So, kind of a modest display, but I got Thanos up there. I have the old Adam Warlock. I did not pick up the new one. Maybe I'll do that. We definitely need a new Beta Ray Bill. Got some Heralds of Galactus. I still need to get my Galactus out of the box. I don't know. Obviously, you see how much room I have, so I need to figure that one out. Ghost Rider, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Nova, Doom, one of my favorite figures. And then we have Kang, and then the Fantastic Four and the Skrull. I did not pick up that Super Skrull this year, or was it last year? It was a lame release. I don't know how they made it worse, but I think they just need to re-release these army builders, because I definitely need the Hellfire Guardsmen. So hopefully we get a chance at those soon. Moving on to not so much miscellaneous, but these are my comics figures. I'm trying to narrow down the collection. So mainline Avengers, and then any character that kind of pops out to me. So I got that Dragon Man, definitely a cool release of the year. Squirrel Girl, I know they really don't belong together. Rom, think he's fantastic. And then here are all my main Avengers that I have. So the only one I need is a Thor. That's a new Black Widow. Silver Centurion, I know he's West Coast Avengers, but that's my favorite Iron Man suit. So he goes with my main. That War Machine is still one of the best figures. And I like that Riri Williams. I don't really know much about the character, but she's cool. Hawkeye on the Sky Sled. And that Doctor Strange is fantastic. I think I got Titania. And She-Hulk kind of opposite there. MODOK. It's crazy that figure went on discount after everyone was kind of begging for it. So, and then that Captain America is the 50th anniversary. And that's the one with the shield that has all the holes in it. So that kind of stinks. Then here's some miscellaneous X-Men. Mojo, Spiral. Love her. And then this is pretty much my X-Men Jim Lee #1 display. with the exception of Cable, Jubilee, and Dark Phoenix there. But for the most part, these are all the characters that are on the Jim Lee X-Men #1 display. Another fun comic dio that I built was the execution of Wolverine, or the crucifixion of Wolverine, with the Reavers. And there's a few characters on here that aren't Reavers. I just wanted to put some extra characters on there. I only have one version of the Skullbuster, so I can't put the other guy's head on there. But I do love having this. There's such a small display to make. It wasn't difficult, but it came out so good with the skulls and the X cross. I thought that was really cool. And then Bonebreaker, I mean, one of the best Build-A-Figures, I think. And Lady Deathstrike, Pretty Boy. So put some chain on there. I didn't want to actually nail him or fix him to the cross, so I thought that'd be weird. Moving over to my Dazzler display, you see there's a lot of X-Men displays. This is by far my favorite one. Dazzler got a diorama of her own. So we're in this nightclub scene. I did a diorama build a few years ago on the channel, and one of my favorite pieces all in all. So it's supposed to be the inside of a nightclub, then one side is supposed to be some graffiti, and then the other side is a portrait of Dazzler. So really cool. And this is one I add a little bit to it each year, and you can see Cold Slither is up there rocking out. So really cool. Got those light poles going, and some new additions to the shelf this year. I think last year the Beyonder came closer towards the end of last year, so he might not have been on the shelf, but definitely needed an Enchantress to go with my Dazzler display. And then the last figure of the year to show up was actually Hypno Hustler, and he kind of fits in really well there. So definitely glad I got him. I'm a huge Dazzler fan, so I just have multiple variations of different comics that she's in, so always excited to get more onto this display. I'm hoping we get a refresh of Dazzler because she's definitely one of my favorites. Here's X-Force, X-Factor, New Mutants, Excalibur. I think that's it. But yeah, we got to complete some teams this year. Rachel Summers, we got to finish Excalibur. Feral, we got to finish our X-Force. Cable should be on this shelf. However, there's no room. I have to rework it all. But they released a new Strong Guy this year. Obviously, you can see there's no room, so I was just content with my Strong Guy. I do like the other one. I really would have just bought him for the new accessory, the weights. But other than that, I didn't think I needed to do that. But this is a pretty complete display. My hope next year is to get the X4, get this whole shelf out of the DTOF and spread them out a little more. So maybe move something else to the DTOF that can, doesn't really need much room, and then spread these guys out more. Give them some more justice. But it is cool to finally have those teams completed. Feral, a top figure of the year, not necessarily the best. I do like that they gave her the superhero proportions. I think her body should have had a little more fur sculpted on. Why can't they just do what they did with Wolfsbane? I don't know why. And these are all my X-Men figures, and man, so I didn't need that new Sauron, but I definitely needed that She-Devil, and I missed out on that 3-pack, so I'm a little salty about it. I have Zabu and Khazar up there, but I got to complete that team. But here's all my villains. I would love to spread them out too. I have the Hellfire Club set. That's not displayed. So it'd just be nice to get them out, give everybody more room. But not many additions to here, with the exception of Deathbird and Gladiator. I wouldn't consider Gladiator a true villain, but that's the shelf I put him on. This Deathbird is a fantastic figure. I think she came out absolutely stunning. So really happy to get her. I change this up every now and then, the roster that's in here fighting him. So I got pretty much a blue and yellow squad, with the exception of Giant X-Men Storm. She's in the back there. But this Sentinel's just kind of destroying all of them, but they're all ganging up on him. And then below, there's kind of a story here. He's just kind of busting through this building. And down below, we got some smaller Sentinels from the video game. And I don't really know why some of these characters are here. I forgot that guy's name. with the big machine gun. But he's there, I think probably because I had nowhere else to put him. And then I had these screaming characters. So I gave them some, anti-mutant signs. I think it kind of rounds out the display. So I guess in my head, there's these protesters there. They're yelling at the X-Men, and then boom, Sentinel comes out of nowhere, ruins the protest, tries to hurt the X-Men. So now the X-Men not only got to stop the Sentinel, but they got to protect these guys that are protesting against them. I don't know. I just picked the ones that look like they'd be storming the Capitol. The last part of my Marvel Legends is my Spider-Man display. My bread and butter is mostly X-Men Spider-Man, so that's why my Avengers shelf is not probably the best Avengers display you've ever seen. But some miscellaneous characters on here, like Rock Python, don't really know where he should go. I don't have any of the other Serpent Society, and nobody will buy him on eBay because he's a peg warmer. But I have different versions of Spider-Man up here. That J. Jonah Jameson, one of my favorites, Aunt May and Doc Ock. And then I do prefer the gothic version of Morbius, upgraded that Blade. The Steel Suit Spider-Man, that's actually one of my favorite ones because that's the only version I had as a kid. So I was definitely happy when they re-released him a couple of years ago. Monster Venom, White Rabbit, her legs are so bowed. I think I definitely need to put them in hot water. And then I got some new ones on here this year. So I have that Matt Murdock in his civilian clothes. Really awesome figure. My favorite outfit of Daredevil is the battle armor one. So have him fighting Kingpin. And then I have Jigsaw fighting the new Punisher, who I'm a huge fan. This is my #1 Marvel Legend of the year. So definitely a huge fan of that. So for this one, I call it my super awesome 90s shelf. So pretty much everything that I loved in the 90s is up here. So starting over here, my love of comics started with Robin from Robin Reborn. And that is my favorite Robin suit. So I have that Superpowers Mcfarlane figure, love it. That new version of Donatello doesn't really fit there, but I have him on a miniature bed that I made of my childhood bed sheets from TMNT. Not sure if you had those. My cousin got me that, I think it was the 5th anniversary Leonardo turtle, so just kind of a cool piece to have. And then by Davin Toys, I ordered off of 5K this Captain Planet. Not a good figure. He has some QC issues, but man, do I love having a Captain Planet figure. So I don't care. He has a problem with his foot, his hair. He's going to live on that flight stand, so he's not going to move all too much. Just a really cool figure. And then kind of a pseudo video game display. All those arcades in the back, made by Nostalgia Unboxed. And then some of my favorite games. Banjo and Kazooie, Crash Bandicoot, Mario and Luigi. I put little pickleballs and pickleball paddles in their hand because that's all I do when I'm not playing with toys. Mega Man. So yeah, this is my video game display. And to sell toys, Biker Mice from Mars. These things are fantastic. Got the figures 2024, and then we got the bikes in 2025. Super awesome. I'm not getting any of the other characters. However, I am going to be picking up some of those Cowboys and Moo Mesa. Love those figures. I think they'll fit right in on the super awesome 90s shelf. And then, of course, these Goosebumps figures, 5 points of articulation. Nothing crazy like a Marvel Legend or anything like that, but just how cool. I had all these books, most of them growing up, and they were just some of my favorites. So cool figures. The Build-A-Figure kind of sucks, but they kind of come with these old stands that remind me of old Mcfarlane figures, and I think that's awesome. And then I never had Street Sharks, so I got the quartet, the party of 4. They're cool. I don't really do much with them. I think it would be cool to give them some kind of 6-inch kind of refresh. I think those would look great if you kind of made them these giant sharks. But yeah, this is my super awesome 90s shelf. Here's kind of my sword and sorcery figures. Animal Wars of the Kingdom. Great figures. I think I have 3 on pre-order from a Kickstarter. Haven't heard anything about the new characters. Honestly, I'm kind of losing interest in the line, especially if it's going to take this long to come. I think I have like a bunny character coming, a dog. I forgot some of the other characters. Again, it's been so long since I backed the Kickstarter. And then I see I have this Red Sonja, $60 figure. I think she's awful. She was on a lot of people's top 10 best. She was definitely my number one worst figure of the entire year. I've had so many QC problems with her. That's where a figure loses fun, where I start to have all the issues and it's not even fun to pose or play with. And one of my other favorite dioramas I've ever made was this Toys R Us display, and everything on here is just kind of like a homage or love story to Toys R Us and just toys in general. So got a little Jeffrey the Giraffe there, and then my mascots, which I wish Jada Toys needs to make a Jeffrey the Giraffe. I think that would sell like hotcakes. I don't know. Could just be me. I'm loving what they're doing with the cereal line. I got my Tony the Tiger there, Chester Cheetah. I have the Fruity Pebbles characters on pre-order. Matt Cardona, he's on there twice. He's kind of what got me back into toy collecting. I watched one of his toy hunt videos. I didn't know people were still collecting, honestly. And then I was like, oh, this guy, he lifts weights, he collects toys, relatable. So I guess I'll get back into the hobby. So I did. Definitely wanted to support Mad Hatter's Kickstarter. It was actually the quickest Kickstarter that I ever got. So as promised, it came. Lots of cool accessories. He has his Cloak of Tarjay on. He has his Staff of FOMO. And then the Capture Bot, really cool. And you're outside of Toys R Us, so I have Matt Cardona with a whole case of figures and toys. Again, Jada Toys making the Rankin Bass figures. Absolutely insane. Didn't know they were going to do this. I don't know how deep they'll go with the line, but Frosty is an awesome figure. Naughty and Nice. Santa Claus, I hear this figure is actually selling for a lot on the secondary market. So I'm glad I got the original, just plain old Jane Santa Claus, because I guess he's a hot commodity now. So, and then Man Cake from Fortnite. Never played Fortnite in my life. This is just one of the most interesting figures in my display. It's a pancake man who's a cowboy and a gun that has pancakes on it. So I don't know, something about that just resonates with me. Maybe it reminds me of the old Food Fighters. But yeah, that's my Toys R Us display. Little Castle Grayskull there. And then here's my Indiana Jones display. So not much to add here, obviously, because the line ended. But I did go back and rebuy this Sean Connery figure. Of course, the figures that I went to go pick up that I passed on are all super expensive now on the aftermarket. So I'm glad I picked this guy up at for $40. And I remember he was at $15 for a while. I kept passing on him. And then, of course, when I went to go buy him, he went up in price. I love these figures. I doubt we're ever going to see any more made. So, it is what it is. I think Valaverse is making some German soldiers. So I'd love to get them on the shelf. So Indy can kick their butt. But other than that, this is a small display. I don't see it getting much bigger. But I love this line. I know people hated on it. The only thing that sucked is that they said they were not going to make certain characters. I mean, you didn't make the villain from the second movie. You didn't make any just troops. The line was kind of doomed to fail in the first place. But the figures we got, I thought were pretty cool. Now, I guess we can call this early childhood shelf, with the exception of Elvira. Didn't really get into her until I was older, for obvious reasons. But yeah, I mean, this pretty much is my childhood in a nutshell. So Disney, this is the Super 7 line, some of the worst figures in my collection, that Mcfarlane Genie. There really is no good 6-inch scale Genie, but he's my favorite character. I had high hopes for the Super 7 Disney line, and when I got it, it definitely disappointed. But then also the line, they lost the license, so that didn't go anywhere. P.B. Herman is a new figure this year. I think he's fantastic. I put him with Elvira. I think they were best friends in real life. And then just anything puppet or Muppet, I think, was just growing up in the late 80s, early 90s was a huge part of any of our childhood. So got to have Alf on the shelf. These Sesame Street figures by NECA are just amazing. I'm a little scared when the other ones come out because obviously I'm tight for room, so going to have to find somewhere to put them, but they are just out of this world. Big Bird will definitely not fit on this shelf. Crazy Harry is my favorite Muppet. That's from the old Palisades line. And then kind of a disappointment again from NECA is where the hell are the other dinosaurs? This is the third year in a row where we haven't seen any news, any updates, so it just kind of sucks. And I love having them on the shelf, but it's like, where's the rest of the family? So it's like, do you put them back in the box and open up some room, or do you hold out hope and hope that they're coming? But I'm not going to hold my breaths. But these Sesame Street figures, at least there's more to come. So really excited to collect more of those. Okay, lots of Mythic Legion here, some Frazetta girls, and then some random characters. I'll talk about them. But these Egyptian gods from Mythic Legions, I didn't pick them up when they came out. And then I was at Orlando MegaCon last year, saw them, and I had to have them. So I bought one day, and then I opened them, and then I was like, man, I can't have this guy and not have her. So the next day I went back and bought her. So definitely amazing figures. I might even put them on my indie shelf. Just, I think they look good together. Then we have Christmas Carol figure there. Jacob Marley, really cool. All his different chains and safes. And then these two figures. These are the, I keep saying, the Super 7 figures. They might be the worst. These are 100% the worst figures in my collection. Universal Studios opened a theme park here. It's called Epic Universe. There's a whole land dedicated to Universal monsters. They came out with exclusive merchandise, and I bought it. For the 2-pack of these was $88, and I should have known, but their articulation's crap, sculpts are crap, paint is crap, the likenesses are terrible from what they're supposed to look like. I just wanted to buy it to, have a souvenir, I guess. But yeah, they're terrible. Frazetta Girls, Fire and Ice. Dark Wolf, Tigra. I'm not going to be getting any more of these. I don't like the quality control on them. They're cool from afar, but when you start messing with them and playing with them, their articulation's not that great. Dark Wolf's arm keeps popping out. Super annoying. So that's not cool. Fisher P. Rice, I think is his name. I really only bought him because, he's kind of a play off an old Fisher Price character. Thought he was kind of cool to like toy lore. And then this Jersey Devil, definitely a fantastic piece. Loved kind of the demonic look. But yeah, definitely dipping my toe into Mythic Legions. I should have that giant bear coming this year with a female warrior. Don't know where that's going to go, so I'm going to have to rework this shelf somehow. And this is just a diorama I built for like reviews. And yeah, I want to do more to like the building, but it is reversible, so I have another side of it, which is kind of cool. But I have nowhere else to put these Scooby-Doo figures by Jada. These are fantastic, so I can't wait for the rest of the gang to come out, all the other monsters. So super cool. That mystery machine was sent over by Captain McKay, so if you're watching this, thank you. He happened to have one lying around, so sent it over. Looks great with the Jada Toys figures. So this is my Lightning Collection display. Kind of sad because another Hasbro line like Indiana Jones is just nothing's getting made. So it kind of sucks. I try to rearrange it every now and then and make it fresh, make it new. But there's really nothing I can add here unless I go back and buy some of the monsters I didn't buy. But there's a new line out. I think it's called Reimagined or Reignited. It's kid friendly. So there's some key characters we're missing: Squat and Babu, Bulk and Skull, some human figures. If they really just came out with those 4, I would be able to call it a day. But I think the Lightning Collection really disappointed, like when it just kind of upended. We could have gotten human versions of the Power Rangers in civilian clothes, would have been great. Kind of got Zordon, Alpha 5 there, Green Ranger, some of the TMNT crossover figures, Lord Zed, Rita. I think Finster is one of the best figures in my collection, so I mean that. A lot of the monsters. There's my wife's selfie series. She hates it. Some Valaverse, Legends of the White Dragon. I don't know if that movie's ever coming out. We got the TMNT crossover figures. I tried to put black and black, blue and blue, red and red, yellow and light yellow. So I tried to keep them all together, fighting a different monster. And y'all know I love Plunderlings. And man, this shelf has blown up, but I love it. So what pickups did I get this year? This year, the hatchlings were made readily available. So with the hatchlings, you can take the 2 extra heads you get from the Plunderling and put those heads on these little bodies. So I got every color, which really made this display explode. So now I kind of have everything kind of segmented by color. It just looks really cool that way. We got some new of the bigger characters, the Plunder Strongs, the guy with the cannon, that kind of water, translucent plastic guy, really cool. And then, surprise, end of the year, they put these Plunder Beaks on sale, and they showed up before Christmas, which was awesome. Definitely on my top 10 list. Great new characters to the line. Really excited about it. I put them on these like little 3M hook tapes so they can be flying in the air. Otherwise, they'd have nowhere to go. But yeah, so now we have a few different creatures in the Plunderlings collection. Was definitely a great year for Mcfarlane. I got to round out a lot of the Bat family, so super excited about that. I did pick up that Catwoman on Aftermarket. That one stung quite a bit. But we got Commissioner Gordon, Two-Face, Scarecrow, Huntress. Lots of good ones this year. I've had that Nightwing, the Nightfall Batman. I would love if he went back and revisited Robin Reborn, because he missed the mark quite a bit on it. As Bat back there, another version of him. Batgirl is my favorite Mcfarlane figure of the year. I just love her. I think the accessories, posability, everything. She looks great. Mr. Freeze, that's my iconic Joker. Was at the Bronze Age or Silver Age. Really cool. And then Riddler. And then this area here is really just kind of an homage to the old Total Justice line. So I'm really just collecting the Justice League of America figures that I had in the Total Justice line. So Connor Hawke, my favorite version of Green Lantern. That Aquaman, that style is my era. I love blue and white Superman. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I remember running out to buy that comic, #1, when it first came out, because I thought it was going to be worth something. Newsflash, not worth anything. But I love having representation on the shelf of him. Batman Year 2, he's okay. Not a fan of that crazy sculpted cape that he came with. Kyle Renner, that's my favorite Green Lantern. I hate this Wonder Woman for many reasons. The price, the outfit, but the bow legs. But this was really our only chance at getting a Wonder Woman from the comics, because the other one, he bungled the distribution, and I'm sure he's going to release another one before the line ends, but I didn't want to chance it, so I picked her up, and that's it. I'm not going to buy another one. Impulse, I'm just waiting to get that Flash in. I'll probably just take him off the shelf or sell him. And then a Spawn there. So I guess having Spawn next to that Batman reminds me of the old Spawn versus Batman comics. All right, the last of the random collection display will go to my Mcfarlane movie figures. Man, just amazing output this year for movie figures. Just things that I never thought would get made, and we'll get to that. But starting off the year, I think one of the first Mcfarlane figures I got was that Christopher Reeve Superman. Absolutely love him. And then, moving over to this side, last year we got Batman and Robin figures as the Batman Forever figures with the Batman Forever Batmobile. Fantastic. There's the Batman and Robin figures. Okay, we need a Bane to really round this collection out. And then this year, man, really crushed it with these Batman Returns figures. So first, I got my Keaton Batmobile back there with the wings open. I did not pick up a Batman Returns Batman. Didn't need him. There's already one inside there. I'm like, what do I need with 3 Keaton Batmans? But Catwoman looks fantastic. Penguin looks amazing. First Max Schreck ever made. Really cool. Looks great with the suit. These penguins are cool. I do have the ones from back in the 90s. Those are more articulated than these, but of course these are sculpted better. The penguin vehicle, I mean, that is the winner this year. The penguin is just pretty much the same figure as this one, but just having that duck on the shelf is amazing. It's one of my favorite things that I opened this year. It was a gift from my brother, so thanks to him. But man, you think HasLabs are like dream projects. This is a dream project, and Mcfarlane just put it up at retail. And I don't know if you noticed, but one of my favorite things I have here are my old McDonald's Batman Forever mugs. So they just kind of round out my 90s Batman movies display. I think we got a Joker coming on from Batman 89. And after that, really all I'd want is a Bane. And if I'm being really greedy, maybe a Bob the Goon. And I thought I'd end the tour on, I think, what is my favorite display in my room currently. The last couple of years, my favorite display has been my TMNT display, but I think that's changed. I think tastes change. They're not the ones putting out the best product. So I'm going to show you what my favorite display is and why. And it's actually a mixture of a few different things. It's mostly G.I. Joe, but there's also Action Force by Valaverse. And then there's some Jada toys on here, which is kind of weird for G.I. Joe, but I'll also explain. So let's get into it. All right, so not the biggest G.I. Joe display you've ever seen. However, I probably display mine a little different than most people. I have a mixture of G.I. Joe, Action Force, and Jada toys. And one, I think G.I. Joe and Action Force complement each other very well. I know there's some tribal fandoms where G.I. Joe people don't like Valaverse and vice versa. I like them both. I say, why not both? Because you're going to have more fun that way. There's also some, I think there's random Jurassic Park figures here, and I'll explain that when we get there. But anyway, this is just the most fun display I have because it tells a story, and I like to tell a story with my display. So yeah, we'll get into it. So at the bottom here, I have two vehicles, the Vamp, and that's from G.I. Joe Classified by Hasbro, and then the Vanguard by Valaverse's Action Force. So what I have going on here, I have kind of a red and black squadron and Raptor's attacking the Vanguard, and then there's kind of an onslaught on these characters. So I guess you have Shockwave and a police officer. They're kind of trying to hold it down, and then to the rescue comes Clutch and Dusty and the other Joes with the Vamp. So kind of have this arsenal going on here. I have a Crimson Guard from Valaverse on the Baroness bike. I just kind of like having the black and red together. I think it's cool. I know Raptor doesn't fit that, but I like having Raptor do that kind of aerial assault. Got the Praetorian, the black and red version, and Grenadier. So love it. I wish I had more room for vehicles. As you can see, there's not much more room for anything else. So, you know, if this display gets any bigger, I'm going to have to figure out where to fit more things. But this is the first shelf of my G.I. Joe / Action Force. For this part of the display, we have a mixture of G.I. Joe, Action Force, and some Jada. I'll get into that. All the way in the back there, I have the Vac Metal Steel Brigade by Action Force, Gemini, one of my favorite figures. And then that figure there, it has Jason David Frank's head on it. It belonged to a figure named Duster. I put Jason David Frank on there, made it a completely different figure. Warpath Eclipse, definitely one of my favorites of the line. Tony from Analog Toys. And I kind of have this like desert or army fatigue kind of group going on here. Cover Girl, one of my favorite Joes of the year. Love that update to her. I love the old one, but this one's just awesome too. Got to have Sergeant Slaughter holding his figure, and I have a little miniature of the Mobile Command Center made by Manzo Minis. So he's on Etsy, he makes some really cool stuff. I have a bunch of it, but that was one of my favorite G.I. Joe pieces as a kid. And then I have my G.I. Joe villains, or at least the name villains. Crocmaster, glad we got a re-release of Dr. Mindbender, Baroness. Then we got Destro in the back there. I have the one half of the twin. The other one's on this way. They're really cheap on Amazon right now. Then Pythona, Big Boa, Vac Metal Cobra Commander. I love Serpentor. I think he looks fantastic. And then this is the first year that I think we're really starting to touch the Ninja Force aspect of G.I. Joe. So Slice and Dice, Storm Shadow, kind of have him on the cusp of the villain side and the ninja side. I know this is the version where he was a good guy, but either way, Nunchuck. And the reason why I like to put these figures here with my Jada figures, because if you remember, there was a Street Fighter line that was a G.I. Joe line. So, of course, Street Fighter has to be displayed. with my Joes. So there's a vehicle that I think a lot of people are hoping comes out, the Thunder Machine. If it does, and it's not crazy expensive, I am hoping to buy two. One to keep as the Thunder Machine. The other I want to repaint because they did reissue the Thunder Machine in like neon colors. That was for the Street Fighter figure. So I think it'd be really cool to actually do that and get these guys in a vehicle, even though I have nowhere to put them. But we got some good releases this year. Sagat, Blanca, Vega. I love that only a few figures come out a year because you're not going crazy trying to get them. I think I have 3 on pre-order now, and then we have 2 more that have not gone up for pre-order. With the third shelf, just want to point out my Ninja Force Zartan. I think we are getting, I think that is on a leak list, or it was announced. So I'm super excited. That is the version of Zartan that I've been waiting for. So I can't wait to get him. And then I kind of have this like little snow scene coming out. The Polar Bear, one of my favorite releases of the year. I don't really care for that Snake Eyes, but kind of have the Polar Bear and Timber squaring off. I have Spirit, Snow Job, and then some Action Force Snow Troopers or Snow Steel Brigade. Really cool figures I picked up at a con. Love these legacy figures. So I have the 2 firefighters. I showed off the police officer here. But yeah, these are great figures. I'm curious of what else they can release in the legacy line. Either Silver Workers or military. If they did military, I'd love to see figures in like their dress up uniforms. You know, like Gung Ho was in his Marine outfit. That would be really cool. I feel like that would be a home run out of the park. And then this is kind of like my purple and pink squad. So my Techno Viper. I love that effect he has on his arm. I think it's cool. And then we got Xandar, Zorana, and then the pink breast cancer awareness Steel Brigade female figures from Valiverse. Really cool that he did that. He purchased these and then he made a donation. So just a really cool thing that they're doing. And then I like what I have going on here on this Fortnite boat. So I think a lot of people picked this up and repainted it. I have not repainted it yet, but I just love the scene that I have going on here. So in my head, it's kind of a rescue mission. I have my guys in Hawaiian shirts that are being rescued, and now they're helping with the fight. Quick Kick, Doc, the other version of Cover Girl. I have my Selfie Series and Beachhead, Shipwreck, steering the boat. And then for some reason, I put Hammond from Jurassic Park. I just think the Jurassic Park figures are good civilian characters. There's Hopper from Stranger Things. Again, him in the Hawaiian shirt with Chuckles and Condor. So Chuckles and Condor. Condor is an Action Force figure. Chuckles a Gijoe figure. I love these figures. I took them to Hawaii with me. I took pictures of them everywhere. I got Condor with that new rocket launcher from Valiverse. Love it. So in my head, it's kind of like a rescue mission. They rescue these guys in the Hawaiian shirts, and now they're kind of shooting off whatever enemies are coming their way. So really fun display. And last but not least, here's my top G.I. Joe Action Force shelf. There's a lot going on here, and I'll tell you the story. So in my imagination, there's like this creature that's part of an experiment. There's scientists, and then there's this group of people that are working to guard it. And then you have 2 different factions. You have the Dreadnoughts being led by, what's his name? Cristobal. And they're trying to get whatever experiment or whatever they have going on. Cristobal's leading them. So they're fighting off. They're having to fight off the Dreadnoughts. And then on the other side, the Joes are coming because they're trying to put an end to this experiment. So you have like 2 factions fighting off the science group. So that's the story here. There's a few Jurassic Park figures snuck in here. Again, just good civilian characters. Ian Malcolm. Then you have that character there. And Sam Jackson's scientist character. I think Newman from Seinfeld. He's over there. So pretty cool. We'll start in the back here. So let's start with the good guys. Mixture of Action Force and G.I. Joe, Eclipse. Then we have Colonel Siege and really cool Starduster, Mutton Junkyard, Law and Order. Then we have one of my favorite Action Force figures of the year: Sidewinder, the Day of the Dead version, Sci-Fi, and that version, Snake Eyes, actually my favorite. And then we got the dog characters, who I know the Pitbull goes with Road Pig, but I think all dogs are on the good guy's side. So I put all the dogs together. These Swarm Tracer figures are my favorite figures, and probably the entire display. So I'll put them up there. So really cool. Those are by Action Force. They glow in the dark. They're awesome. Crystal Ball, definitely one of my favorites of the year. And you got to get the Dire Wolf, because I have him kind of transforming this trooper into this creature. Now, the Dreadnoughts, I think they go really well with some Action Force figures. So new ones this year, Monkey Wrench, and some of the Action Force figures I like to mix in are the Bone Collector and Pandora. I think they fit right in with the Dreadnoughts. So yeah, I mean, have fun with your displays. I think it's cool to mix lines together. In this case, I think it goes really well, but really hoping to get some figures this year on my wish list. So we'll see. I've seen some of the leak list, and nothing that I'm really waiting for is on there. But this has been the collection I've had the most fun collecting all year. All right, folks, that does it with the tour. If you stuck around this long, thank you. But if you are checking back with the channel again, hope y'all already subscribed. If not, if you could subscribe. Every Tuesday, me and my pal Victor, we do a live stream where we talk about toys, but then we also talk about other pop culture things, you know, favorite memories growing up. He's older. He's from the Gen X generation. I'm millennial, so you know we kind of have our little friendly battles back and forth, but it's a good time. So if you want to check that out, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. But other than that, keep an eye out for more videos. And until the next episode, we'll catch you next time.